What would you do if you found out that your house was haunted by an over 200-year-old spirit of a Satan-worshipping, child-sacrificing witch? Well, obviously the answer is to let the bitch possess you and kill your firstborn child, right? Sort of. No, of course, what you do is you go out and you find the top paranormal investigators in the entire country, and in fact, at that point in time, probably the world. Well, that's exactly what happens in this movie that I'm about to review. It is a movie that involves spirits, demonology, and what might await us on the other side after we die. So today, I'm going to be reviewing the horror movie that was based on true events, The Conjuring. Now, right from the start, The Conjuring does something different that a lot of other haunting movies doesn't do. It incorporates two backstories of two different families and meshes them together to create the movie. Normally, when you have a haunting movie, it's normally just the backstory of the family that is haunted. However, in this one, you get a backstory of both the family that is haunted and the family that is trying to get rid of the spirit and cleanse the house. Now, of course, the paranormal investigators in this movie are Ed and Lorraine Warren, which were real people, and during their time, they were the top paranormal investigators in the entire world, or at least one of them. Lorraine Warren was a gifted clairvoyant since her birth, and Ed Warren was a recognized demonologist by the Catholic Church, which I might point out is not a very easy feat to accomplish. Now, Lorraine Warren was, of course, played by Vera Farmiga, who we can recognize as playing Norma Bates on Bates Motel. And Ed Warren was played by Patrick Wilson, who we can also recognize as playing the dad from the Insidious movies. Now, when we start off the movie, we start off with a case from Ed and Lorraine Warren about a past incident, a very notable and famous case of theirs that was later made into another movie, of the case of Annabelle, the doll that was possessed by a demon, or using it as a conduit. Now, this eases us into the backstory of Ed and Lorraine Warren and shows us what they do and how they live their life and how they help people cleanse their houses and their lives of these demons and spirits that are just plaguing them and causing mischief and harm. Then once we figure out their life story, we then are introduced to the Perron family, which of course they were real people. They were Carolyn and Roger Perron, and Carolyn Perron was played by Lily Taylor, who's been on numerous TV shows such as Almost Human, CSI, and Gotham. And Roger Perron was played by Ron Livingston, who we can see in the new movie that's coming out, The Fifth Wave. He plays Oliver. Now, they seem like a normal, everyday kind of family, which is sort of typical in the haunting movie. Normally they're a happy family. They got a lot of kids, and they move into this old rundown house in the hopes of jump-starting someone's career or their lives. And in this movie it is the same, but we do have stereotypes in movies for a reason, because some of them work. In this case, this one works. So they go into the house, and of course during the entire movie they start noticing small things here and there. Unfortunately, their dog gets killed by the spirit. I'm not a person who likes dog violence in movies. I think it's honestly pointless. But I can sort of understand why they put animal violence in movies. But I'm not a big fan of it. So that happens. Of course, they hear knockings on the wall. They hear voices, doors slamming, and all sorts of stuff. What actually this movie does that's actually really good is that normally in haunting movies, they have the little things that happen here and there, but there's no middle. It just starts with little stuff like knockings and they hear occasional voices, and then it just jumps right to the big stuff, like with the throwing of people and throwing things and making the house shake and other ridiculous things like that. However, in this movie, they do give you a middle ground. It eases into the haunting, and as the movie goes on, the hauntings get worse and worse and worse. There's no huge jump. So we start with little stuff and we keep moving up up until everybody starts to realize that something is going on. Now, again, this is something that's typical in haunting movies. Normally, it'll sort of be a divided house. Half the people will believe that, oh, there's something paranormal going on. There's a ghost attacking us. We have to do something. And the other people are like, nah, you people are crazy. Ghosts don't exist. It's just some other act of something we can't explain. However, in this movie, it starts that way, but as the occurrences get worse and worse, everybody believes that there are ghosts in the house, or there's something in the house that's going on. So then, Carolyn Perrin then goes to a lecture that Ed and Lorraine Warren are having, and she convinces them to come to their home and try to figure out what's going on. At first, they don't want to, because they think it's like any other case. They're like, oh, well, there is something scientific going on here that can be explained, and it's just being blown out of proportion, which we do see in the movie where they do another case, which is different also. It proves that they had a logical mind into going into this. They weren't going in looking for ghosts. They were going in and trying to ease people's minds, whether it be a ghost or a demon or something else that is just misunderstood. So once they get to the house, they realize that there really is something going on. Doors are slamming, clocks are stopping, the kids are being tormented, everyone's sleeping in the living room because that's what you do when your house is haunted, because the ghosts just don't go in the living room. They just stay in the bedrooms and upstairs. They don't go downstairs. That's just a no-no for the ghosts. They go in there and they realize something is going on. So they bring in their whole team. They bring in these two other guys. They bring in a skeptic who's a cop, and then they bring in a technician who sets up the equipment and is able to document what's going on. So once they do this, they actually, it seems to me, they almost are like living at the house, which then creates a bond between both families, which again is a great idea. They're not separate now, they're together. Everyone's getting along and everyone's having a good time and bonding. So then we fast forward and we get to the big showdown at the end of the movie. I'm not going to tell you the end of the movie because I want you to go and watch the movie. But I will just say that it is very interesting, and the end of the movie, the way that they do it is, again, a lot different from other haunting movies. So an overall review of this movie is I personally like The Conjuring. I'm a sucker for horror movies. I love everything to do with the paranormal, the supernatural, and the unexplained. And I know a lot about the cases of Ed and Lorraine Warren and what they went out and tried to do to help people. Also the controversy that sort of surrounded them as well. Now, James Wan, who's the guy who directed this movie, he also did the Insidious movies, I think he is doing something awesome for the horror genre. He is incorporating stereotypical things that you see in horror movies, like some jump scares and sound jumps to make you freak out, and the leading up to you think something's going to happen. But at the same time, with those stereotypes, he is mixing in new and original ideas, which is something that I think the entertainment business needs to do more of. So he's giving us something new, but he's giving us something that we like at the same time, which of course everyone's gonna like because it's new and it's familiar at the same time. And what else could we ask for? And that is what The Conjuring brings to the table. The Conjuring brings in new and exciting things in the horror genre. And we also have to remember that this was based on true events. There are detailed documents and video footage and pictures of what really happened to the actual Perrin family and what the Warrens did for them. So I encourage everyone to go out there and watch The Conjuring, and then also do a little research, do some research into the Perrin case and see what correlates between the movie and the actual case. See if the movie did fabricate stuff or if they actually stayed true to the actual accounts and everything that the family went through. And also, let me know what you thought of this video. Let me know if you agree with me, if you like The Conjuring, and if you think it's cool what James Wan is doing for the horror genre, and if you think this movie is awesome, and if you think it's new and familiar at the same time. And if you want, you can go down and you can share some stories of some maybe hauntings that's happened to you. Maybe you've experienced some things that you can't explain, and you can share those stories down in the comments below. Don't feel ashamed. We've all had stuff that can't be explained. It's fine. Also, don't forget, go down there and hit that big red subscribe button for more reviews and more covers of songs and the new series I just put out this past week, The History You Thought You Knew. So go down there, hit subscribe. A lot of awesome stuff is coming from this channel. And also find me on Facebook, find me on Twitter, find me on all the other social media stuff that you guys belong to. On there, like, follow, and everything else that you need to do. I'm Justin Sisk, and this has been a movie review of The Conjuring.